Hello everyone, this is CA Rekha. So today in this session I'll be covering the preparations for an audit. So here I'll be covering the concepts of audit strategy, audit plan and audit program. So now in the previous sessions we have seen what audit is all about. So what are the different aspects to audit, what is the nature and scope of an audit, what are the duties, what are the qualities required for an auditor, what is the advantages of independent audit, what is the importance of the word independence to an audit, so on and so forth. Now today in this session I'll be giving an overview of what is an audit strategy, what is an audit plan and what is an audit program. So now before starting this particular topic, let me actually take you to something to a real life scenario. Okay, so in order to explain this concept of audit strategy, I'll link it with the real life scenario. Now you have joined the CA course and you are about to write your inter exams. Now think of a scenario, you are in your 12th standard. So in your 12th standard, you are unaware of what to take, whether to join for your science or take up a commerce stream. You have different options available. You have, if you take science, you have engineering, medicine, many of the options available. And in your commerce stream, you have your CA, CS, CMA and number of options available for the same. Now, you have taken your commerce stream. Now, among the options that is available, you choose for CA. You wanted to pursue CA. You wanted to pursue CA. So, in order to pursue CA, what are the things you do? So, first you have identified your goal or identified the target, what you want to become. So, that is, I want to become a chartered accountant. So, in order to become or in order to get into CA, what are the things required? So first thing is I have to complete my 12th, get a good score, then I have to do my CPT, qualify my CPT, get into the CA stream or CA course, then I have few milestones, CA inter, then I have my CA final, in between I have my GMCS, my orientation, many things I have to cover up, I have to complete my articles, there are n number of milestones in order to achieve the final destination of becoming a member of the institute or qualifying the CA examinations, final examinations. So now, first thing is you identify what is the target. I want to become a CA. Now, in order to become a CA, first I have to understand what the course is all about. I have to understand what are the syllabus in that particular course, what is being covered in the course. Once I qualify, what are the opportunities that is being awaited, what are the opportunities I will get, is that course alone required or should I do anything postgraduate or should any other pre-qualifications required in order to join that course. So what are the scope of that particular course, how I will be benefited by doing that particular course, what is my target, I have to qualify my CA final. So in order to qualify my final, what I have to do, how much effort I have to put in, what are the things I have to do, preconditions that is required in order to do that particular course. So all those things I'll be sorting out before I take up that course. This overview, whatever I am doing in order to become the final or qualify the CA examinations, all these small steps that is covering or giving an overview of the entire course. This is similar to the so-called audit strategy. In an audit strategy, it gives an overview of what the entire scope, timing and the direction of audit. Say I have got an audit. The particular person or the team, that is the engagement team, the engagement partner who is having the full responsibility for that particular audit. That person should first have an audit strategy. They should come up with an audit strategy. Audit strategy gives the scope, timing and the direction of that particular audit. So first thing what it gives is what are the characteristics of the engagement. So what am I going to do? Whether it is an audit, whether it is a management audit or I am going to check the financials, whether it is a assurance service, due diligence, peer review, what am I going to do? So that is your characteristics of engagement. First we'll set out the I have to set out the characteristics of engagement. Now once I know what is the area that has to be done, what I am going to do in that, what is the scope of that particular audit. Say I am going to do the audit of the financials, what are the areas I should cover, what are the things I should look into, what are the responsibilities of the auditor, what are the things that has to be done by the management before we go for audit. So all these things have to do. So it not only gives the characteristics of the engagement but also sets the scope of the engagement. That is the first one, or the first advantage of having a audit strategy. Now second is what? Reporting objectives. What are the reporting objectives? What is that I'm going to do with this audit? What is my objective? I'm going to give a report, or what is it? Is it a report, or what it is a monthly? What is the duration of that particular report? Am I going to do it quarterly or annually or half yearly? To whom I am going to report? The way in which the report has to be communicated, how it has to be communicated. Is it just oral communication, or is it through an MIS, or is it through a written report having proper qualifications? How I am going to communicate the report. So second is your reporting objectives and how it is going to be communicated. Now I know what I am going to do, what are the things I should do, what I have to give, what are the target, what is the end product, and how that end product has to be communicated. Now, in order to achieve all this, I have to do something, right? I have to start the actual work. So, how am I going to start the actual work? I have to deploy persons, right? I have to deploy certain persons to doing that particular audit work. What area I have to specify to him or her? What is the area that you are going to work upon? What are the things that you are going to check? Now, what are the cutoff procedures? Is there any high risk areas? Say, I know the audit. This is the area of my audit. I am going to split my team members, engagement team members, in such a way that each person will be allocated a particular work. So this third objective, or the third point, is the nature, extent and the timing of the resources. So how much resources I am going to allocate? Is it enough that one person I am sending for the audit every day? She or he is going to do the vouching and checking all the records and then coming to. Is it required? Or how much, how many people or how many resources I have to allocate for the particular audit? So, in this particular thing, I will be telling one more thing. Say, for example, I am getting so much of the audit fees. Now, I have to again make a calculation. Say, 5 persons I am allocating for that particular job, and I am getting this much revenue from the audit. How much is a per head manpower? How much am I investing in per person or per resources? So what is the net amount that I am going to get? So I have to do a cost allocation. How much revenue I am getting? How much I am allocating on these resources? Or how much I have to put in as a form of resources and the manpower? How many hours or man hours they are going to work? So all these calculations I will be doing. So again, the nature, extent and the timing. What are the areas they will be covering? So if it is a very small work, maybe say for example, I want to do the vouching. First 2 days it will be vouching. So I am sending only 2 or 3 resources to do the entire vouching and come back. Now I have to move into more high risk areas. I want to see the controls. I have to check the controls. I want to see whether the financial controls are implemented properly, whether they are maintained properly. So in order to achieve that, I want a more experienced person who has an experience in that particular field. So I will be sending one such person. So what is the nature of resource allocation? What is the extent of resource allocation? When I have to send the resources? Is it that every day I am sending one person? Or is it like weekly once or bi-weekly once or yearly? Monthly once, half yearly. So what is the frequency of work that is being done? So all these things, nature, timing and extent of the resource allocation. Now, once this resource is allocated, is it enough that the person or the engagement partner doesn't look into the audit? Only for giving the report he is going, no. There should be someone to supervise them, direct them, and to see whatever they are doing is right or wrong. Someone has to be there to coordinate the entire process. So, involving some person who can direct, who can tell what has to be done, allocating the work to each and every persons there. Now, supervising the work, whether they are doing the work correctly or not. And lastly, even if they do, I have to review the work, whether whatever they have done is right or wrong. So, direct, supervise and review the work done by the resources. Now, last point is pre-engagement activities. Before I start with the audit, is there anything more I have to do before I start with the audit? So that also I have to check. So all these things it will be covered in the so-called audit strategy. So audit strategy is nothing but it sets out the scope, timing and the direction of the audit. It will be giving the characteristics of the engagement and the scope of engagement. What are the reporting objectives and the nature of communication? What is the nature, extent and timing of the resource allocation, the direction, supervision and review of that particular resources, and lastly the pre-engagement activities that is required for starting the project. All these things will be covered in the audit strategy. Now there will be one question that is coming to my mind. So once I have an audit strategy, will it be static, will it be a discrete one, or will it be changing? So now again, this is something that you have to think about. I made a strategy. Now, is it a fixed one? I have told that, okay, I have a strategy in place. Now, will that strategy be implemented as such, or will there be any kind of a reviews going on? Definitely will not be a discrete one. Depending on the changes that is happening to the engagement, depending on the changes that is happening with the business policy or the business models of the client, it will change. And whenever the audit strategy changes, the audit plan will also change. So these both are interlinked. They both are interlinked. Whenever the audit strategy changes, the audit plan will also change. They are not discrete. They will change with respect to the change in one of them. When the audit strategy changes, the audit plan will also change. So now we saw what the audit strategy is. Now again coming back to the real life situation. So I have chosen CA. So now my target is fixed. My goal is fixed. I want to do CA. Now in order to do this course, what are the things I have to plan out, or what are the things I have to do in order to achieve my target? So what are the things I have to do? Again, I'll revisit. I have to first complete my CPT. I have done my CPT, I have cleared, and I have got into the course. Now, in order to crack that course, what are the things I have to do? My main thing is self-study. So, self-study, I have to make sure that I get enough time for self-study. So, in order to get enough time for self-study, how am I going to plan the other things? So, I have to do my articles, I have to do my coaching classes, I have to spend time with my family. So, n number of things are there in addition to your allocating time for self-study, right? So, how am I going to manage the time and manage or utilize the time effectively for self-study? So, that is the next thing. So, this phase is a bit more detailed than your audit strategy. Audit strategy was what? Only my end target. How am I going to become that? What is that all about? What are the opportunities? Now, a bit more detailed. So, in order to achieve that, I have to do so and so. So, what are the steps I have to do in that? I have to allocate this much time for self-study, 8 hours for self-study during my exam times. Other times, at least minimum 4 hours I have to study. I have to do my coaching classes. I have to go for coaching classes. I have to do my regular work, my office work, my out audits, all those things. How much time I am spending each, and I'll make a plan. It will be a bit detailed one. This, if you correlate in an audit scenario, this is nothing but your audit plan. Your audit plan is a detailed version of your audit strategy. What are the things that is mentioned in the audit strategy? You will make a chart or make a point on each and every point that has to be touched upon in order to implement that particular audit. So all those things will be covered in your audit plan. Now, once I have this audit plan, I have made a plan that, okay, 8 hours I have to allocate for self-study, this much hours I have to allocate for my classes. So all these things I have done. Now, how am I going to proceed with that? Suppose 8 hours if I have to allocate for self-study, or if this much time I have to do for classes. Next step is what are the classes and where are the classes? Which faculty classes are the best? Who are the faculties who are leading in that particular subject? What resources I have to refer? Will the resources, whatever I am covering, be apt? Will it be covering everything? Will it be covering the entire syllabus, your MCQs, previous questions, everything? So I am making a detailed plan of the so-called plan I have made. This detailed implementation of the plan that I have made is nothing but your audit program. So audit program is a detailed, it is very detailed, it is an implementation of the audit plan, how I am going to implement the audit plan and the audit procedures in order to complete the audit and achieve the target. So there are 3 steps: audit strategy, your audit plan and your audit program. Audit strategy is an overview. It will be setting the scope, timing and the direction of audit. Whereas your audit plan is a detailed form of your audit strategy, will be touching upon what are the areas that has to be covered. Once the audit plan is ready, I want to implement the audit plan. So for that, I will be making something called as an audit program. So audit program is nothing but the implementation of the audit plan. Now, I told you like audit plan and audit strategy both are interrelated. Now, what in when you are going ahead with an audit plan, what are the things that has to be taken care of? Now I said direction, you have to direct, supervise and review the persons who are doing the audit. So why is it necessary? Will it be like, will it be the same thing for all the audits, or will it differ for each and every audit? It will differ for each and every audit. Why? Because this direction, supervision and review of your engagement team members will depend on various factors. What are the various factors? One is, main thing is area in which they are auditing. Say it is a very high risk area, or it is a very new platform that they are going to audit. So what they are going to audit, depending on the area or the audit area, again my requirements will vary. How much direction, how much supervision is required, and again varies. Again, the complexity and the size of the entity. Say it is a very big client. They have a n number of transactions, many transactions. So all these transactions has to be covered. So for that, again, I have to make sure that there is a proper supervision of the resources. Lastly, what is the exposure, risk exposure? What is the assessed risk for that particular audit? So if the risk exposure or if the risk is higher, then again I have to make sure that I have to see the controls are proper. I have to make sure that I deploy more resources to a extensive audit, not just a few sampling areas. I am not just collecting few samples and doing the audit. I have to do it a substantive audit. So all these things will be there. So your direction, supervision and review of your resources will depend on three things. What are they? One is the area of audit, your assessed risk, and complexity and the size of the entity. Now, before I come up with an audit plan, there are few things that I have to take into consideration. What is that? I have to understand the client. So we have a separate essay for this, essay 315, assessing the risk of material misstatement through understanding the understanding the entity, business of the entity. Now, in order to understand the business of the entity, what are the things that has to be taken care of? What are the things I have to check before I get into the actual work? So what are the things? First is I have to understand the regulatory requirements. I have to understand what is the business, what is the industry, relevant industry, what are the regulatory laws that is applicable to the particular entity, what is the nature, what is the operation, what is the kind of operation that is being taking place, what is the objective and what is the strategy that is being followed by the particular entity, what are the ownership, who owns that particular entity, what is the governance structure, where the investments, whether the entity has made investments in any other place, what are the investments that has been made, any reason, all these things have been checking. So this is understanding the client. And this is another vital point before I start with the audit plan. I have to understand the client. Then what? This is all with respect to the governance and the operation part. I have to understand the operation, the ownership, the governance. I have to understand the objective and the strategy. And I also have to understand the kind of investment that the company or the entity has made. Now coming to the financial part. What are the class of transactions? What are the account balances? What is the kind of disclosures that is required for that particular entity? Whether the accounting policies are followed correctly, consistently being followed, whether there is any change in that. So all these things I have to check. This is your second part with respect to your finance. So first is understanding the governance, the operation and objective. Second is your class of transactions, your account balances, your disclosure, your accounting policies. All these things I have to check. So this involves understanding your client. So before you start with an audit plan, understanding the client, understanding the activity of the client is very much important. So we have a separate essay for that too. Now this point is also covered in audit plan. Now we know what an audit plan is. Now what are the things you have to cover in an audit plan? So we said what are the things we have to cover in an audit strategy. Now coming to audit plan, what are the things you have to cover in an audit plan? Is it necessary, like is it enough I cover a few points here and there and then just move on to audit program? No, audit plan should cover all the points, and whatever is there in the audit plan, how I am going to implement that, it should be covered in the audit program. So your audit plan, first let us start with the audit. So in order to start with the audit, what are the things required? So first, understanding the requirements, understanding the engagement and the statutory responsibilities of the auditor. That is the first and foremost thing. So that I have to include in my plan. Second is what? The legal and the statutory requirements that has to be complied by the entity and by the auditor as well. So that I have to bring in the picture. Then the third is what? Whether the accounting policies are being followed by the entity, whether it is consistently followed by the entity, what are the accounting policies that is adopted or adapted by the particular entity, whether it is being followed and applied every year consistently, that I have to check. Then what? Any new accounting or auditing pronouncements, what is the effect of those pronouncements in the current audit that I am doing. So for example, say for example in this time of a pandemic, we know, very small example, we know the concept of revenue recognition, right? So when are we recognizing the revenue? When all the risk and rewards are being transferred by the seller to the buyer, when all the transfer in goods or services is completely done by the seller and buyer, and there is a ultimate assurance of collection. There is a reasonable assurance that there is, without any doubt I can tell, there will be an ultimate collection of the consideration. In these scenarios only I will be able to recognize the revenue in my P&L. This is a normal revenue recognition. Now, because of this pandemic times, will I be able to apply the revenue recognition policy as such? Will I be? So this revenue recognition, this covers two things. It does not only cover the ability of that person to pay, but it also covers what? The willingness of that person to pay. So there should be, I should be able, the entity should have no doubt in the ultimate collection of that particular consideration. That means what? The person should have the ability to pay as well as he should be willing to pay. He should not be a willful defaulter. He has the means but he is not paying. He should not be like that. He should have both the willingness and the means to pay. So now, say for example, in this time of a pandemic, in the pandemic times, the person may have the willingness to pay, but again, the means to pay is questionable. There might not be any sales. There might not be any economic activity that is happening within the entity. So the means to pay is questionable. So will I be able to apply the same policy now? Will it be? I have to again revisit whether it will be suitable for this particular time or not. So this is again what are the other auditing and accounting pronouncements that is applicable for that particular audit, for that particular time, for that particular area. All these things I have to cover. This is the beginning. Now, nature and timing of the reports and other communications. So I understood my statutory as well as the legal requirements. What are the responsibilities? What are the pronouncements that is applicable to that particular area of audit? Whether the accounting policies are followed correctly. The next thing is what is a reporting time? That is when I have to give the reports. That is how I have to give the reports, to whom I have to give the reports. The reporting formalities, the reporting objectives. When it is it a quarterly report, is it a half yearly report, or is it an annual report? To whom I am going to give the report? What is the format? All these things, again it has to be included. Now we have like all the base work that is required before starting the audit is there. Now, how am I actually going to do? What is a resource allocation? Establishing the resource allocation. How I am going to coordinate with the resource allocation process. Whether I am going to use the work of the internal auditor while I am doing that particular audit. Whether it is a joint audit, whether two or more auditors are combining together and doing that particular audit. If there is a joint audit, then how is the work allocated between different auditors? Is it on the basis of the number of transactions, or is it on the basis of the time period? Is it on the basis of the part of the financials? How the work is allocated between the joint auditors? So that is the next concern. Now, I am going to do a specific area of audit and it requires a particular skill set or a technical knowledge, and I am unaware of that particular knowledge. So I am going to use the work of an expert. So involvement of an expert. So how the expert has to be involved. So what are the things I have to understand with respect to that? Expert is a person who has a expert knowledge in that particular technical field or that particular field of work. So if I am going to involve an expert, what are the things that I have to make sure? Now, that particular entity has n number of subsidiaries and branches. So I am going to use the work of the components, the auditors of the branches. So using the work of other auditors, that is the auditors of your subsidiaries, associates, branches. So all these things again have to be considered. Second thing is with respect to the work allocation, establishing and coordinating the resource allocation, how I'm going to use the work of the internal auditors. If it is a joint audit, how the work is distributed between the joint auditors, whether I'm going to use the work of other auditors, that is the auditors of other companies, your subsidiaries, your holding, your associates, and if an expert need to be involved in that, all the things are distributed. So all these things again will be a part of your audit plan. Third is what is the materiality. Now coming to, I know the resource allocation, I have made the base framework, resource who have to be deployed for doing the work. Now the actual work comes. What is the actual work? What are the audit procedures I am going to apply? What is the nature, timing and extent of audit procedures? How much audit procedures I have to apply? Is it that I have to again do a re-performance, I have to again calculate, I have to again check, or just I have to get a confirmation from the management? What is the kind of audit procedure that I am going to apply? What is the area of audit that I am going to look into? So say suppose I am going to look into that particular area, how I am going to collect the evidences. So what is the level of sampling that I am going to do? So what is the kind of materiality level that is set to the particular transactions or particular area of audit? Now again, once the material, what is the kind of risk associated with that kind of, there are n number of related party transactions, those transactions which is not in the regular course of business. So I have to give more importance to that. So what are the kind of evidences I have to look into? So all these things again will be coming into the audit plan. So your audit plan literally covers all the points that is required to complete the audit, and in order to implement the audit plan, you will be coming up with something called as your audit program. Now in this audit plan, again there is one point. Will this audit plan change according to the change in the audit strategy? I already discussed, as well as the change, with the change in the audit strategy, the audit plan will also change. Now suppose for example, now even in the time of this pandemic, because of any unexpected events or because of any changes in the conditions, or maybe you would have started the audit with the notion that everything will be fine, but in between there are certain circumstances or certain evidences that might require you to change the audit plan, deploy more resources, or change or do a detailed verification. So what are the kind of things? So all these things will make sure that your audit plan gets revised periodically. So until and unless your audit plan remains, if it remains static, then it actually becomes obsolete. With the change in the business models, it has to change. Say for example, now in this pandemic times, there are n number of coaching classes. So normally during the time, the exams are going to approve, so that time you normally will go for classes. Now because of this pandemic situation, you are not able to, lockdown, you are not able to go for classes. Physical one-to-one classes are not possible. So what is the next alternative? So what they do, this coaching institute, they actually kind of change the business models in order to cater to the students. In order to avoid the one-to-one or physical classes, or in order to avoid one-to-one contact, or in order to make sure that the lockdown is effective, they come to a different platform. They initiate your web classes, online classes, webinars, pep talks. All these things will be done in order to ensure that the classes are being given to the students, but they make sure that since they cannot approach the classes during the lockdown, they are getting an online platform to access the classes. So now what are the changes in the audit? Now since it was a one-to-one classes, many of the students, they used to go. Now because of time crunches, or because of the transportation, or because of various other reasons, many would not be able to go for the one-to-one classes. Now because of these web sessions and online classes, there is a higher probability that many people will be opting for that. So here you have your convenience or luxury of whom you can sit at home and then watch the classes. If it is a recorded session, you can watch at your convenience. At what time you want, you can watch. There is no particular time constraint. So all these facilities are available, right? So number of people who is opting for the online classes, they might increase. So what happens? Normally the revenue is increased. So in such a cases, if I am going with a normal audit program or audit plan, it would not suffice. So it might become obsolete. So depending on the change in the business models or to suit the business change in the business policy of the client, I might have to change the audit plan. So this is all about audit plan and audit strategy. So next session I will be covering what is called as a audit program. And again, while changing this audit strategy or while I am discussing the audit strategy and the audit plan, one particular thing I have to keep in mind, it should not reduce the effectiveness of the audit. That means it should not become too predictable. What are the procedures I am going to apply? What are the things I am going to check? Because audit always involves one surprise element. Surprise element. I know they know what are the things that is being going to be verified, but there should be some kind of a surprise element in audit. So it is not that you discuss all the audit strategy on the audit plan and the whole effectiveness of audit is compromised. So that is one point that has to be taken care of. So next session we'll be discussing what an audit program is all about and what are the different methods of collecting audit evidence, what is an audit evidence, what are the different kinds of tests, your test of controls and your substance. So all these things will be covered in the next session. So until then, see you for the next session. Thank you.